On to the parent financial section of the FAFSA. Your FAFSA will be saved up to this point. For 2020, have your parents completed their IRS tax return? If they have, select Already Completed. If they filed an extension but will file soon, select Will File. If they did not work or are disabled and not required to file, select Not Going to File. For parents who filed in 2020, select IRS 1040 for the type of tax return filed. Then select the tax filing status reflected on the 2020 tax return. For eligible parents, the IRS Data Retrieval Tool option will appear. Click Proceed to the IRS. If the option does not appear, click Continue. The next few screens will walk eligible parents through the IRS Data Retrieval Tool process. Select which parent created the username and password. Enter the parent's username and password and click Continue. You will now leave FAFSA for the IRS website. Click Proceed to the IRS. A pop-up will appear. Click OK. Once transferred to the IRS website, click OK. Review the parent's first name and last name to ensure it matches what appears on the 2020 tax return. Enter the street address exactly as it appears on the 2020 tax return. If a P.O. box was used, enter the number within the P.O. box field. If an apartment number was indicated, enter it within the apartment field. Enter the city, select the state, and enter the zip code as reflected on the 2020 tax return. Click Submit. If successful, the parent will see the following screen. Click the box to the left of the Transfer Now button, and then click Transfer Now to return to the FAFSA. What is your parent's adjusted gross income for 2020? Parents who successfully use data retrieval will see the phrase transferred from the IRS. Parents unable to use data retrieval will enter a dollar amount from line 11 of the 1040. Click Continue. For two-parent households, you must enter the amount of income earned from work by parent 1 and parent 2. For example, if both parents worked in 2020 and received W-2s from their employers, enter the dollar amount found in box 1 of the W-2 for parent 1, and do the same for parent 2. For self-employed parents, your income will be found on the Schedule 1 form, lines 3 plus 6. For a few parents, your income may be also found on the Schedule K1 form, box 14, code A. Click Continue. Some may now be asked, did your parents file a Schedule 1? Only parents who are self-employed or report farm income typically file this form. Answer accordingly. If yes is selected, are either of your parents a dislocated worker? A dislocated worker is typically someone who has been laid off from work. Answer accordingly. Some may now be asked, did anyone in your parents' household receive benefits from any of the programs listed in 2020 or 2021? Check any that apply or check none of the above and click Continue. If prompted to skip you and your parents' remaining questions, select Yes and click Continue, which will take you directly to the Sign and Submit section of the FAFSA. For others, enter the amount of income tax for 2020 found on line 22 of the 1040 tax return. Parents who successfully use data retrieval will see the phrase transferred from the IRS. Click Continue. Review the following questions and answer any which apply to the household. If a question does not apply, move to the next question. Once all questions have been answered, click Continue. Review the following questions. If a question does not apply, move on to the next question. Once all questions have been answered, click Continue. Review the following questions and answer any which apply to the household. Once all questions have been answered, click Continue. Does the total amount of your parents' assets exceed a certain dollar amount? Here is an overview of what FAFSA considers an asset and what it does not. For example, your home and 401k plans are excluded. If your parents' assets exceed the dollar amount displayed, select Yes, answer the 3 questions, and click Continue. If your parent's assets are less than the dollar amount displayed, answer No and click Continue. If prompted to skip the asset question, select Yes and click Continue. This concludes the overview of the parent financial section of the FAFSA. The next video will cover the student financial section and the signature process. As always, if you have any questions, please contact your outreach specialist.